We'll touch all of these things as we go through this study. But the first thing is death the only cause for remarriage. Believe it or not. There are people who believe that is the only case that one can remarry is when there's death of a spouse. But as we'll learn going through this study, that's not the only reason. There's another reason. But there are those who advocate that. There's divorce and remarriage for any cause. That's very popular today. It goes along with this one. Divorce and remarriage for any legal cause. But today, with the no-fault divorce, that's very popular in a lot of states. These two things somewhat run together. The guilty party free to remarry. When I refer to the guilty party, I'm referring to the one who has committed fornication, had a sexual relationship outside of their own marriage relationship. There are some who advocate that the guilty party can remarry. The forsaken believer, free to remarry. What I mean by that is let's say that a Christian is married to a non-Christian, and the non-Christian decides that they want out of the relationship. Some would teach that Christian is free to remarry. Aliens. When I mean aliens, I'm talking about those who are outside of Christ. Alien is not subject to God's marriage law. This is very popular teaching. I don't know if you've been associated with anyone who believes this, but there are many people that would teach that those who are outside of Christ are not subject to God's marriage law. Are those who are outside of Christ, are they subject to the gospel? What will happen if they don't obey? And what I want you to remember is when Jesus taught on marriage, divorce, and remarriage, the first place you find him doing the teaching is in Matthew chapter 5. That falls within the Sermon on the Mount. And within the Sermon on the Mount, and within Matthew's Gospel, we find Jesus preaching the gospel. If you go back to chapter 4, just a few verses into chapter 4, you'll find that Jesus was going around preaching the gospel of the kingdom. And as he moves right into chapter 5, he moves right into his teaching, God's law on marriage, divorce, and remarriage. So it all falls together. Many people would advocate that divorces and remarriages are washed away in baptism. I don't know if you've heard that before, but that's a very popular teaching as well. Let's just say that there's a homosexual couple that decides that they need to be religious, and they come and hear the Bible teaching. They believe the gospel. They understand they need to repent and be baptized for the forgiveness of their sins, and they come seeking God's forgiveness through repentance and baptism. What happens when they go back into the same relationship? Can that continue? Can the homosexual relationship continue? Does it wash away that and they go back? No, that doesn't happen. So in the same breath, in the same vein, 1 Corinthians 6 teaches us that homosexuals, along with fornicators and adulterers, cannot inherit the kingdom of God. So that really explains away this idea here as well. Mental divorce, does anybody understand what I mean when I say mental divorce? That's something that's very popular, has been popular for a long time. And we'll talk about that. We don't really have time to talk about that right now. We'll talk about that when we get a little farther into this. That's the idea of the waiting game. It's included in that. We'll get into that right now. Divorce and remarriage, scriptural for the innocent party who looks away for the cause of fornication. All of these, before this last one, I disagree with. But with this last one, I agree. Because that's what the scriptures do. And that's what we're going to end tonight. With Matthew 19, verse 9. You go turn to the Bible. It's Matthew 19, verse 9. There's two lessons on Matthew 19 in this book. What we've done is I've combined both of these lessons together. I've kind of shortened this, but we're going to get the gist of what's taught in Matthew 19. We did this for the sake of time, because we have so many classes we need to get into this section. But we're going to be able to get the gist of what Jesus has taught in Matthew 19, verse 9. Jesus said, "And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife is set for sexual immorality and or fornication, and marries another, commits adultery. And whoever marries her is divorced, commits adultery." That's from the New King James Version. If you're reading the New American Standard Version, that last part may be left off of that. But the same idea is there if you read Matthew 5 and verse 32. I don't know why the New American Standard Translators left that off. I really don't know. But it's there in Matthew 5 and verse 32, the same way. We'll look at that a little bit later on. This passage is really the central core passage in dealing with God's marriage law. There's more, and we'll touch all of those as we go through the study. people are misunderstood. They're confused. So many people just can't seem to find their way through all of this. They seem like there's just no way to understand it. You know why that is? Is it because God's Word makes it hard to understand? It's not. It's because we make it complicated. We inject our emotions and our feelings into this and we make it complicated. I learned many years ago, several years ago, that if we would just go back to Jesus, Jesus makes it very, very simple. When it comes to this subject, if you just look at what Jesus has to say, especially in Matthew 19 verse 9, it'll clear up so many situations that we find so hard to understand. If we're going to go through it tonight. I think you get a good understanding of how easy it is to parcel and divide all of this confusion out of the way. You can see really what the Lord intends. So let's do this. Let's look at this passage. We'll break it down and we'll talk about it. Let's look at what the text says about divorce. Matthew 19 verse 9. When Jesus was asked, that's the setting, right? You remember the setting of this? Within the setting of this, if you go all the way back to verse 3, the Pharisees come to speak to Jesus, and what's their question to Jesus? So their question is concerning divorce, right? The idea of remarriage was even injected to the text by the Pharisees. It wasn't even in the context until Jesus brought it into the context. They're asking about divorce. Can a man just divorce his wife for any reason at all? What was Jesus' answer? So his answer was, in essence, it was no, wasn't it? And he said no. And what he did was, is he responded by giving 4 reasons why that answer is no. Do you see any of those 4 reasons in them? In the text, he said, let's go back and let's read some of that. Let's look at verse 3. The Pharisees also came to him, testing him and saying to him, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for just any reason? And he answered and said to them, have you not read that he who made them at the beginning made them male and female? And he said, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So then they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore what God has joined together, let no man separate. There's 4 things there that Jesus used and made it plain that his answer was no. What was the 4 things? You see? There's the very rule, isn't it? And that's important. What Jesus did, where did Jesus get this idea that he talks about in verse 5? Where did that come from? What's he quoting? That's Genesis 2. That's the rule. That's the once and for all time rule. A man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. That's God's rule for all time. Jesus said, you know what? He didn't take them back to Deuteronomy 24. That's where the Pharisees were going to try to take Jesus. But Jesus took them all the way back to the beginning. He said, look, this is God's intention. For all time, one man, one woman for life. Let us never forget that. That should always be the most important thing. We look for so many occasions, for so many loopholes today in our society to try to get out of that. But before we get into it, we need to recognize that this is one man, one woman for life. It's a special relationship. Only second relationship we have with the Lord. But here's the thing. Anybody else see another thing in there that would mean no? Jesus saying no. Let me give you a few. God made one man for one woman. What Aaron pointed us right to. A man is to cleave to his wife. The man and the woman are to become one flesh, and God has joined them together. In that last one there in verse 6, what are we talking about? We've got one man, we've got one woman. What happened when they came together? What was created? The bond. There's a difference between marriage and the bond. We're going to talk about that in this series too. But God is the one who creates the bond. And Jesus said, what God has joined together, let no man separate. There's a sense in that it can be separated, right? Can man separate? Well, man can separate. But does it break the bond? Not always. Not always. There may be a said that divorce only for the cause of sexual immorality. It seems the Pharisees would follow more of the other, still would follow. Much like the people of Gardendale. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Just any of those four things there will eliminate divorce. Any of the four concepts up there, one man and one woman, cleave to his wife, they are become one flesh, what God is going together, let not man put asunder. Any of those four things, the idea of divorce is not entered into there at all.
That's his point, isn't it?
That's right. Anything that you don't, anything else called after that is trying to explain the very simple concept there.
Yeah, that's Jesus' main point. He always went back to the root. When you read through your New Testament history, and you find places where marriage is spoken of, you'll find them always going back to Genesis 2. Paul went back to 1 Corinthians 11. When he talked about God's scriptural order, if you read all the way down through there, he points them right back to the beginning. If you look to Ephesians 5, and you read down through Ephesians 5, verses 22 through 33, you know before the end of that, where Paul eventually points them back to the same place that Jesus did. Always goes back to the beginning. God put that rule in place. Very important. Yes, sir. Continuing, even in our time. It will continue on until time is no more. Because people want to get out of situations that they realize they don't need to be in, but they want out because they're looking for a loophole. They want to find their own justification and their own conclusion. And it's always been that way. So there's Jesus is that. Anyone else? What's the text say about divorce? Well, only two texts mentioned an exception to this blanket rule that we call it. When I say the blanket rule, I'm talking about Genesis 2 and verse 24. You understand, when I talk about God's rule, that's what I'm talking about. Also, Matthew 5:32. I want you to turn over and look at Matthew 5:32. This is very important. Here's a passage we don't look at often enough. And you'll miss some things here. Matthew 5:32, this is where Jesus breaks in on the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus was asked questions during this time. And Jesus, in this time, he's making comparisons. Let's put it that way. Verse 31 says, furthermore, it's been said, whoever divorces his wife, that he give her a certificate of divorce. Now, Jesus takes it to a different level. But I say, what did Jesus say? Whoever divorces his wife for any reason except sexual immorality causes her to commit adultery. And whoever marries a woman who is divorced commits adultery. So here's a person who, if he divorces his wife for just any reason, what does he do to her? I want you to catch that. Here's a man who divorces his wife for burning biscuits. He's tired. He's just tired of making burnt biscuits. You know what? I'm just going to get rid of her, and I'm going to get me another one. What does Jesus say he causes her to do when he does that? What does it say? You got it in the Bible. What does it say? Causes her to commit adultery. How does he cause her to commit adultery?
It's a contract with two people.
But he's causing her to commit adultery. When he puts her away for a cause other than fornication, he causes her to commit adultery. When's the adultery going to take place? Well, so the idea is when he puts her in a position. When you put a woman in a position like this, when you put her away, especially in that time, and it's probably this is true today. Women want to be in a position like that where they can have security and independence. So Jesus is saying you're going to put her in a position where subsequently she's going to remarry, and when she does remarry, and he's going to bear the responsibility of that because he put her away for some other cause. But even if he does put her away for the cause of fornication, what happens when she remarries? On her part. And she's in this position now where he puts her away for not a just cause. But what happens when she remarries? Causes her. Even if she is guilty or she is innocent. Do we see that? It doesn't, if she's guilty or innocent, when he puts her away and she remarries again, what I want to see is the strictness of what Jesus is pointing out here. And this is where people start maybe the fairness way. Maybe this doesn't seem fair. Did I take that up with Jesus? Do we see that? I mean, people miss this so often. And I'm not trying to present this in a cruel way. I'm just trying to say this is the brass tacks of what Jesus says. We need to be careful when we marry. We need to be very careful about what we're getting ourselves into. This is one of the highest relationships that you can be in on earth. And it's not something just plainly put away when you get married. Because Jesus says you need to know who you're marrying and make sure they have the same ideals and the same goals as you do, as best as you can. Because it's just not something you just throw away. Because if your mate gets tired of you, if they want to put you away for some other reason, other than fornication, they put you in a position that when you remarry, that will be right. If the husband is in that situation, it will be the same way with you. If it's not for the cause of fornication, putting away was done, you're in a tough spot.
I will be earlier.
That's okay.
Tonight. What all is included in sexual immorality? Is it just adultery?
I think that would include a lot of things. You know, fornication, let's just look at it. I like the term fornication much better because I get a better understanding of what we're talking about. Fornication is sex outside of a marriage relationship. Adultery would fall into be a type of fornication, but it wouldn't be all inclusive of that.
That's the point. There's a lot under that umbrella.
I would think so.
It's not just.
I would think so. Homosexuality would fall. There are a lot of things. I think bestiality would fall into that. A sexual relationship outside of the marriage relationship, which adultery would fall into, and a lot of other things would fall. I think we have to take that into consideration as well. I think the Bible teaches that. We won't start down that road tonight, but there are scriptures that will indicate that would fall into that. Yes.
Can I give you a what-if scenario?
Sure.
So, well, I've heard this happen. What if a Christian marries somebody and finds out later, after they're married, that the person they married had already been married and they didn't know about it?
Let me say this. Every person has the right to be scripturally bound one time. Every time. Okay, let's say this scenario comes to play that a Christian marries someone that's been married before and they had no idea they'd been married before. Their divorce took place, it was an unscriptural divorce. But later on in this next marriage, they find out about the one from the past. And I've heard of that happening before. Okay, this person that married the one who had been married before has never been married before. And they find out that there was this marriage that took place. And they divorce. Because they have no right to be together, right? Because this person's still bound to someone else. What about this person who had never been married before? Can they marry again?
Back to God's law. God's law never exists.
Sure. It did. Because that person was bound to someone else. You can't commit adultery against someone you've never been bound to. It's impossible. It's totally impossible. Romans 7, verses 1 through 4 will teach us that. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of times that we miss that. Now, I believe the Bible teaches that you have the right to be scripturally bound. Now, there'll be some repentance that had to take place. For sure, on both sides. And on the one who had been married to someone that had been bound before. But my question has always been, this has been raised just recently. How can you commit adultery against someone you've never been bound to? That's absolutely impossible, isn't it? If not, why not? And where's the scripture that would say other?
This kind of gets into a little bit of that. We've got to be careful that we don't mix up God's laws on this subject, the bound part,
Right.
with the legalities of our society. They're rarely the same. In this particular case, they're way off. We have to focus on God's law and don't get cluttered up with
What we think.
society and what
Or what we think.
Yeah.
What we think about it. Yes.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm getting ready for lessons 5 and 6, who can you marry, who's eligible for marriage, that kind of stuff. I believe we'll be talking some of those things then, but it's still a question and it needs some discussion.
Well, think about Romans 7. The woman who is bound by the law to her husband, as long as her husband lives. But if she marries another, while he still lives, she'll be called adulteress. But if her husband dies, she is free from the law of her husband. Yes, sir.
I don't think Brother Ray gets into that specific example.
He does, but he wishes he did now.
Yeah.
We've talked about it.
Yeah, so, but to be very clear, I think on the example, I actually understood, I don't know that person is that way in this situation. But let's say that the woman in this case, this very honest scenario, is the innocent party, so to speak here. She doesn't have a right to be in that marriage relationship with this husband who's now dropped his bomb on her, so to speak. So that relationship has to dissolve itself in order for her to be in good standing with the Lord. Let's go down that path. But to your point, she has the ability, or she has the right to be in a scriptural union in the future.
Because she's never been bound to anything else.
Yeah.
And that's an important point. Donnie didn't touch on that. But me and another brother brought that up to Donnie not long ago. And asked Donnie about it. Wanted to know what Donnie had. He said, you know what? That's a great point. Maybe that's number 5. Because he deals with 4 in the book. And maybe that's number 5. But I hadn't thought about that until it was raised to me. The specific situation was asked to me. And I thought, yeah. I think we need to think about that, because many times in our minds, we don't want to say yes to that, because it's like, oh, but you've been in that relationship. But, like Aaron said, we got to put away our thoughts and let God speak on what he said. So, we know Matthew 5:32, Matthew 19:9 is the only places that we find the exception clause. The exception is divorce for fornication. So the conclusion is simple, isn't it? There's one and only one scriptural cause for divorce. And that's for the cause of fornication. From those passages, that's the only 2 passages. And with the conclusion that we draw is that when divorce happens, the only scriptural reason for that is when one puts away their mate for the cause of fornication. Are there any questions about that? That's pretty cut and dry, isn't it? You'd be surprised at the people who do think so. But that's what the scriptures say. What does the text say about remarriage? I know we're going to go kind of fast, but I want you to see that Jesus makes a distinction here between the one who is put away and the one who puts away. Did you see that? If you go back to chapter 19 and look down at verse 9. If you're reading from King James, sure. I think it reads best this way. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, and marries another, he commits adultery. So there's the one who puts away. Divorce. Just think of divorce as put away. I think when the King James uses put away, that's a better, clearer understanding of what's taking place here. Whoever puts away, there's the one who's going to put away, and then, toward the end there, the one who's put away. There's 2 different distinctions there. Does everybody see those distinctions? There's a person who's putting away, and there's the one who is the put away one. That's pretty clear, isn't it? There's not a whole lot I can say about that. I mean, some today will say, well, that doesn't really make a difference. And I say, well, it makes a difference because Jesus said it made a difference. Jesus made the distinction. And he's going to make a difference as you get on through this. Jesus makes that distinction, the one who puts away and the one who is put away. And we need to be able to understand that too, because it's going to help us decide where one falls into what categories they're going to be in, so that we can make some decisions for the future. Does anyone have any questions about that? 2 parts of Matthew 19:9. There's part A and there's part B. We've already read those 2 parts. But the one who puts away his or her mate for the cause of fornication, for a cause other than fornication, that person will commit adultery when they're married. One who puts away his or her mate for fornication does not commit adultery when he remarries. So we're talking about part A of the text here, the one who puts away, right? So put that in your mind. You've got a group here, a group that puts away. If they put away for some other cause than fornication, when they remarry, what happens? They commit adultery. But if they put away for the cause of fornication, when they remarry, there's no adultery. That's committed. There's your put away part. All right? Part B of our text is the one who's put away. You got a put away party. The one who puts away his or her mate for a cause other than fornication, commits adultery, when he or she remarries, same way we just said. But let me show you this. There's no exception phrase in part B of the text. The one who's put away, whoever marries one who's been put away, what happens when they marry that person? Did you notice that there's not an exception in that part of the text? There's an exception in the part A of the text, except for the cause of fornication. But your exception phrase lies in part A of the text. Do we all see that? Part B is the person who's been put away. So whenever if that person's been put away, this is Matthew 5:32 again. If that person's been put away for some other cause than fornication, what happens when they remarry? What about the person that marries them? You see that? I mean, that's tough, isn't it? I mean, that's not easy. That's not easy to swallow sometimes. But that's really what Jesus is saying here. Do we see what Jesus is saying? This includes the one who's put away for fornication as well as the one who's put away for some other cause of fornication. We're talking about the put away party. Now, my question to you is, can the put away party, for whatever reason, if one has been put away, can they remarry?
Not even dead or dies.
Yeah. Because why? One second. But as long as that first mate lives, the bond's still there. And as long as the bond still exists. Do you see how tough that is? Does anyone have any question about that? When you look at it and lay it out as Jesus laid it out, it's really clear to see, but it's tough to swallow. Yes.
What about when the guilty party is the one doing the putting away? That therefore makes the second scenario, right?
If we have a guilty party, one who has committed fornication, puts away a innocent party, is that what you're saying? Well, I think we get into the race to the courthouse there. We may be able to talk about this, but the race to the courthouse doesn't mean anything. What the final result is what? Why are you putting away? Let's just say that, let me give you this scenario. Let's say a woman finds out that her husband has committed fornication. And she goes to him and she says, listen, I know what's going on, but you know what, if you will work on this, I want to remain with you. I want us to work this thing out. And let's say he agrees to do that. But the very next day, he runs to the courthouse and files for divorce. What does she do now? You know what she can do? She can put him away for the cause of fornication. You know why? Because he's committed fornication. And he's still committing fornication. Still has the desire to. Does it matter who got to the courthouse first? It doesn't, does it? What matters is the end result. If you were to ask her, why did you put your husband away? What would she say? I put him away for the cause of fornication.
I definitely get, I wasn't trying to do like a race to the courthouse kind of scenario, but I've, seen, like, similar, like you said, women, or the innocent party, wanting to work it out, and even if the guilty party does, they're still like pushing that, and to the point where it's not even like they're putting them away, because they're trying to make it work, I guess. Does the guilty party then put them in the adulterous state by being willing, puts them away, and then not agreeing to it for that reason, necessarily? That might be a little too complicated.
Let's just bring it back to Jesus and make it simple. If you're going to go through with a divorce, if you're going to be able to remarry again, you must put your mate away for the cause of fornication. That simplifies everything. You see what I mean? So that's how you answer the question, because we can get tied up in a lot of different things, but I have to come back and ask the question, okay, why did I put my spouse away? And I think I get into that here. The only one who has the right to remarry is the one who puts away their mate for the cause of fornication. That's really what the Bible says. So we need to figure out where we fit. This will answer your question, Oliver. You know, if someone says, well, I've done this or I've done that, just simply find out where they fit in the text. If a person in question has put away his mate, then they fit in part A of the text, right? They're the one who did the putting away. Does everyone see that? So, now you ask the question, what did he or she put away for the cause of fornication? If so, do they have the right to remarry?
I have another question.
Okay. Shoot.
So say, okay, your spouse is cheating, and you, like Aubrey said, you want to work it out or whatever. But then, like, how long do you have? Like, do you go to counseling or whatever, and then, like, this isn't working, and they're still, you know, so like, how long, do you have to immediately put them away? I mean, how long do you have the option to put them away for fornication? You know, if you want to work it out, and then it doesn't work out, you know what I'm saying?
Well, let's just say that person, you realize they're committing fornication, right? And they come to you and say, I want to work this thing out. But let's work this thing out. We're going to make a determined effort to work this thing out. And I think the idea of repentance, you know, and forgiveness has to come into play at some point, doesn't it? When they say, okay, I'm going to work this out, and I'm going to make a determined effort to work this thing out, and you agree to that. Well, if you turn around the very next day, a couple of days, and they're all doing the same thing, has there been any repentance that took place? Has there been any change? Well, let's say a year goes by. You see what I mean? And then you're in the middle of some kind of argument again, and you bring that up again. I don't think that will work. You see what I mean?
Can't play that card later on.
You can't play that card later.
I was just gonna point that out. You change your mind.
Hebrews 13, 1 Corinthians 13 and verse 5. Love does not hold into account a wrong suffered. We have to forgive as God forgives, and when God forgives, He forgives and forgets. That doesn't mean you forget about it, but you don't bring that up and play that card again later on. Yes.
There's a scenario sometimes that happens in some of the instances we've had to deal with sometimes is maybe you want to reconcile, but maybe you might find out in a few months it's not going to work for you. I mean, in that extent, I don't know if we put the time limit on anything. It's a hard question that can't really be answered in this situation right here. You know, if you can't let go of the lack of trust and all those things in your marriage is in that situation, it's not working for you. I don't know about putting time on in that. If you go with the idea, I'll use this and beat you to death as long as I can, you know, obviously that's not right. That's not the way. One of the things we say all the time is elders, a lot of times, especially when we're talking to people who are trying to place membership when it comes to certain things, we are elders and we try to use the wisdom of the scripture, but we're not. There's no way we can check your heart, and there's no way we're not detectives. We're not lawyers and private eyes and that kind of stuff.
Right. What does repentance demand?
Change.
A change of heart. Sin has the seeds, right? So, you know, if you're seeing if you say, hey, look, you know, I've forgiven you, but if there's no change, does God forgive us if we don't change? And we say we're repenting, but if there's not a change of life, you know, that's what, you know, sin has the seeds. And if there's no change in that, well, obviously you're not bound to it. You see what I mean? There has to be a change in our heart and life and mind for someone to truly make that thing right. Like I said, I don't think we can put a time limit on it. Chris, you got something?
Yeah. I agree. I was going to say something. You think that, the second one I think about the time I can say is, you know, when I hear this scenario, it's like when you talking about the way my mind thinks, I'm interpreting what they're saying, this is what they're saying. I go down the path of, okay, well, what does being put away look like? You know, what is the deliverable there? And I think when we are talking about, we see a writ of divorcement, issued by some governing authority. And I'm not sure, I'm not sure if that's expressly what the Lord is talking about here, put away, as much as perhaps as a layer of maintaining your involvement or your commitment to a relationship. I don't know.
It would certainly involve the legal aspect.
It has to involve the legal aspect.
Romans 13 would say it would have to involve the legal aspect, yes.
But, as I understand it, the state of Alabama rarely
would you be able to get divorced from that clause?
Depends on, in a lot of states you can't anymore.
Right. So, again, it comes back to a heart issue that Christians have to trust one another in their hearts.
Right.
We can't go on what's written on the legal piece of paper.
Right.
As we talked about, I guess, last Wednesday, I don't know in all cases that a marriage certificate or a license to marry is required in many states. I don't know if it is in Alabama, so therefore would a divorce certificate be required? I don't know.
You know, in cases like Alabama where you can't get it on the paper,
Yeah.
you know, there's going to be a divorce take place, and it's going to go through the legal ramifications of that. But if, say, we come to our elders with that, you know, if someone was put in a position like that to where they had a scriptural reason to put them away, they would come to the elders. I would want to stand before my brethren and say, I put away my lady because of fornication. God will understand that first and foremost, and I want you to understand that, because it's going to be a public thing. And if we know what we're doing, and God knows what we're doing, and our brethren understand what we're doing, I think that's enough. It doesn't matter what the paper says. Do you agree?
And state by state, what Chris brought up, one thing I thought about with what Wendy brought up was the idea that in the state of Alabama, you're supposed to, it's by law, you're supposed to tell them you married your dad before. I'm not sure every state does it. I know in Alabama that's something. So that should, you know, something you need to know. If you hate to ask that question, you're low at first, it's like, well, let's go check the records.
Now, I want you to think about this. That there's an order of the text here. There's a scriptural order that we have to follow. When we think about Mark 16 and verse 16, Jesus says, believe, baptize, save, right? Well, Jesus said here, fornication, divorce, remarriage. We wouldn't say, we would argue with someone who said, believe, save, baptize. Because what have they done? They've changed the order of the text. You can't change the order of the text here. It's not divorce, fornication, remarriage. It's fornication, divorce, remarriage. Think about that. We're going to bring that, I'll bring that in next time. We'll finish some of this up. Thank you for your good thoughts. Appreciate it.